Hey folks, welcome to Time for Anything. I'm Derek,
I'm James.
And I'm Phil.
and today we're going to be talking about privacy.
Illusion, myth, or right? Ooh. So I guess we'll just go into the history of privacy a little bit. James, you want to take us on a little journey here?
Sure. We can start with the history of privacy in the United States. I guess a good place to start would be the Fourth Amendment. You know, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Now, that, I think, mostly refers to law enforcement, right? The police can't just knock down your door.
Right.
But that also refers to, the public. Like, I can't just enter somebody's house and say, show me all of your belongings, right? It's private.
Right.
It's interesting just how much that actually covers, the Fourth Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
I always forget, I guess, about the papers and effects part of it because those are very vague, and especially with paper going digital now, like what is a paper constitutionally? Like,
Yeah.
you're saying an official document?
Yeah.
Or is it my Google Drive documents that I have?
Is
Yeah.
it my
Do those
erotic
count?
fan fiction that I write for money on the side?
Yeah.
It could be a lot of things.
And like I said, the Fourth Amendment is specifically referring to law enforcement. But, I mean, that's also part of privacy, right? Privacy
Right.
from the law.
Yeah, I think your privacy from within the law too is different now than it probably was supposed to be based on the Constitution, because now when you're charged with a crime and let's say you're a high profile person, that is definitely going to be in the news. It's definitely, depending on who it is, it's going to be covered extensively, and it can be incredibly damaging to your character if you're proven not guilty. Now, oftentimes they are guilty,
Yeah.
but there are you're innocent until proven guilty. That's the saying. Everyone knows it, and everyone can recite it, but we don't follow it as a society.
Yeah.
That's
just-
true.
I get really frustrated with the whole. I'm in court for something and I'm on trial for something or other, and there's an accusation against me, but I'm not proven guilty or not guilty yet. But the media's covering it, and then they're saying it's one way or the other, and that stuff's getting out there.
And it can taint the jurors'
Yeah, that's
opinion.
exactly right.
Which, I mean, in due process, they try to weave out people that have an opinion already, but it doesn't always work. And
No.
people can, they'll ask you, have you seen anything related to this case on the news?
You can just say no.
You just say no,
Yeah,
and but you already think that this person's guilty because you saw it on the news.
right.
Turns out this person's innocent, but that doesn't change your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was interesting when my stepdad got indicted. It was on the front page of the paper, but when he was proven not guilty, he was just kind of mixed in the paper a little bit, like a little side panel.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not front page material.
But still,
Um,
it's just messed up, because then anyone who sees that during the process is now swayed to think one way or another, but then the end result could be that this person did nothing wrong at all, but now everyone thinks that they did, so now their entire public image is just screwed.
Yeah, our street was in the paper. Like,
That's so messed up, dude. That's terrifying.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we lived in fear for quite some time.
Yeah, I remember you
And
mentioning that. I just
it
didn't know
was-
that your street was made public. That's
Oh,
ridiculous.
yeah. It was, I mean, my stepdad was processed at night specifically so that he wouldn't be on the news.
Wow.
Yeah. Because
I mean, that's good.
I
at
mean,
least.
not that he's like a high profile character or anything, but he's locally famous enough so to where it was important enough for the Reading Eagle,
Yeah.
because he had been in the papers for used car sales, and when he was a professional wrestler for that, this, that, or the other thing. He's a local guy from probably about 30 minutes from our house right now.
Yeah.
So
And it's weird to think that some people at the Reading Eagle might possibly remember him. If he was
Definitely.
in other publications or anything, and then they're, oh, that guy, well, yeah, let's do a thing on him. I know him.
yeah, the photo they used for him was actually from a shoot done to advertise a used car business that he was working for. Actually, no, that was a Chevy dealership. So the picture that they used was like 14 years outdated. It was so funny because he looks nothing like what he did then. I mean, shaped the same, but
Did he
his
look
facial
better?
features. I mean, he's younger,
Right.
and he dyed his hair like black at the time, so his like hair is a youthful color and it's well shaved and
I mean,
less wrinkles.
that's good at least, because a lot of the time I feel like they try to use images that make people look like shit.
Well, it makes him look like a scummy businessman because it was for white collar crime.
Okay.
So
I get that.
yeah, it just kind of it had a really bad appeal to it. I mean, it was terrible. It was terrible publicity, but that's kind of bringing it back to privacy. That's what is at stake when it comes to your right to privacy.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of court cases that outline the United States government's stance on privacy up to today.
I think a very interesting one is from 1928, Olmsted versus the United States. It allowed for wiretaps that were obtained without a warrant to be used as evidence in court. They said it doesn't violate the Fourth and Fifth Amendments.
How does that not violate the Fourth and Fifth Amendment?
Yeah, Associate Justice Louis Brandeis, Brandeis, however you say that.
Or is that Louis Brandeis?
Yeah.
No, you
So-
said Louis. Okay.
He in his dissent, he said the right to be let alone, the most comprehensive of rights, and the right most favored by the civilized man. So what he was kind of saying there was, this is messed up, right? You shouldn't be allowed to just wiretap whoever you want and use it as evidence against them if you don't have a warrant, if you don't have a reason to wiretap them. He also argued for a constitutional amendment to guarantee the right to privacy. And now this was a 1928 court case, the Supreme Court, and it didn't get overturned until Katz versus the United States in 1967. And so they overruled the 1928 decision, and they also extended the Fourth Amendment protection to all areas where a person has a reasonable expectation of privacy. But what does that mean? Where do you have a reasonable expectation of privacy? Obviously, in your home, you would think you do.
You would think until you get wiretapped.
Yeah, right.
That is interesting about the wiretap. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, 1928. And, I mean, the 20s were a weird time, the 1920s and the 2020s.
For perspective,
so
what's
far.
going on then?
That was Prohibition, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Prohibition era, right?
Lots of organized crime, mafia. Yeah.
So wiretapping must have been relatively new at that point?
I would imagine.
Voice recording in general?
Yeah, maybe.
Widespread use of the telephone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know when the telephone became widespread. But
Well, yeah, I don't think they were recording it quite yet, but no, probably. I mean, like they could record music.
yeah.
Yeah, but the equipment was
Possible.
probably super expensive and probably a lot bigger. Because you think nowadays you can stick a wiretap
Mm-hmm.
in very, very small places. The technology is much more compact.
Well, now it's a wiretap refers to the physical tapping of a wire, right? They take your telephone cable
Yeah,
and
I
they
see
add
your point.
another thing to
Yeah.
it, another wire that allows them to record from that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's easier than that. There aren't
Right.
as many wires. You're not literally wiretapping, but that's what they did then.
Yeah. And you've got everything. I remember someone making a joke about Alexa and Google Home. Like, hey, wiretap, order me some eggs. It's like you just have a device in your house that's always listening to everything you say.
Hot mics. I mean, there's one in your pocket always too.
Your phone. Yeah.
Mhm.
Always. Your phone's always listening to everything you're saying. That data is going somewhere.
So is privacy an illusion then? Because they're already in your house. If that's the case,
In the modern age, I would say absolutely it is.
Yeah.
I think yes, for the most part it is, but it is still technically an option.
You could remove all microphones from your life, you know. Actually, Christian monks, I was going to get to this a little bit later, but Christian monks would, and I guess just most monks, you know, go into seclusion, isolation, away from society.
Mhm.
They have absolute privacy. Even if they're living in a monastery with other monks, a lot of them have their own separate quarters that they can just go and be alone.
Mm.
And, well, I guess for them, at least the Christian monks, they're not really ever alone, right? God is always with them.
I see what you're saying.
So it's not even really that private.
And there are other monks there.
Yeah,
Maybe you have
but-
your own quarters.
Yeah, so there's a group of monks that would live in, they were called beehive huts. If you've seen Star Wars, The Last Skywalker, or
The what?
The Last Jedi, I don't know, one of
Rise of
those.
Skywalker, Last Jedi.
Yeah,
Which one?
I don't know. I think it was wherever they go and actually talk to Luke, whenever
The
like
Last Jedi.
yeah.
I don't know anymore.
Yeah,
Those
I
movies
think-
just melded together because they were
But
just
when
trash.
they're on the island, on Luke's island where he
Yeah.
was, all those
Those little
the-
huts.
those little huts were sort of like the beehive huts that you would see in that a Christian monk would go and be secluded out there. So they
Mhm.
would have their own quarters like that, like their own separate little buildings.
Yeah.
Now, when you're outside of that beehive hut, it's the expectation of privacy should be lowered, right? Because you're out in public, in a sense. Even though civilization isn't there, there's other monks around.
I don't think there is any way to live a completely private life if you want to live
Relatively modern.
relatively modern. Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty much.
Because I remember watching a thing with Edward Snowden saying that apparently even if you turn your phone off, it's still active. It's still listening. It's still doing its functions. The only way to make sure that your phone is not listening at all whatsoever is that it's entirely dead. Not to the point where it's dead and you click the lock screen, it shows you a little battery icon showing you need to charge it. Like dead to the point where there's no charge in the battery. That is the only way to escape from your phone listening. So you go on a camping trip and you're out in the middle of the woods and yeah, you just have your phone on you, but even if your phone's turned off, you're not totally private unless
Is
that
it
thing is dead.
listening or is it recording? Is it both?
It's
Is it
gotta be
passive
It's gotta be recording, and then people kind of
Like-
laugh. I bet because they're like, "Well, what? You got all this data that is being recorded. You think someone's just sitting in a room sifting through all of it? No,
Computers are.
computers are. There's an AI.
Yes.
There has to
Did
be an
you,
AI that's
did you
sifting through
read-
all your shit.
Did you read that article I sent you?
No,
You probably should.
why? What did it say?
It's about AI.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. The
interesting.
limitations of AI, the ethical implications of AI, why AI probably won't be intelligent enough to do some of the things that we think it'll be able to do. It was pretty interesting.
Still scares me though. Like you have an AI at all times, sifting through all your shit.
Yeah, I don't know what the implementation of quantum computing will do to that either. I don't even really understand quantum computing to begin with, so it's like there are a lot of question marks just all over the place when it comes to privacy in general and privacy on the internet, I guess you could say. Because internet is the medium
Yeah, it's all
of
connected
it all.
to the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up in a very important time in history because we saw the proliferation of the internet like unfold before our eyes. I mean, we
Yeah.
were really young and maybe didn't understand the implications it was having. But I recall a time in my life where the internet did not, I mean, it existed, but it was so basic compared to and limited compared to what we could do now. I mean, I had like the stereotypical like box computer in my house. I know you did too.
Oh yeah, just a big ass. Well, I guess it was probably about the same size as my current gaming PC, but you know what I mean. Like it had a floppy disk drive and the hard drive was probably like a couple gigabytes, if that, and you couldn't just search things. I mean, I remember when you were a kid, it was like, well, what is this, or can we get the answer to that? It's like we didn't even think of booting up the PC and going on the internet to look it up because you didn't even think that the answers were on the internet.
Yeah.
Now we just assume that you can get the answer out there for anything because you almost can.
Yeah, I actually looked up the height of the car I was driving today because I was in the drive-through for Dunkin' Donuts and I was like, oh shit, like, do I have the clearance to get under this thing? So I quick just Googled the height of a Ford Transit.
And it just tells you.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Yes, couldn't do that in 2004.
No, you could not.
I mean, you couldn't do
You
that.
probably
Really,
could not
yeah,
do
you
that.
probably couldn't do that. Like in that scenario, you could go home
Oh,
after
well, yeah,
destroying
that's a good point. Because you
your
don't have a
local
phone.
Dunkin' Donuts and be like, "How tall is it?"
Yeah.
But
Because you don't have a phone in your pocket to give you all the answers in 2004.
right,
Yeah.
I mean, communication outside of privacy, communication was limited. I mean, you could call and text, which is pretty damn good.
Send a letter.
But yeah, email was in its infancy.
Yeah.
Sure
Actually,
was.
no, it was kind of blowing up.
Yeah, email's been around since the internet, but the widespread use of it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think people definitely used email in the early 2000s
Oh, yeah.
a lot.
I was playing Neopets a lot, personally. I mean, that's just the age I was at.
Yeah.
It still runs on Adobe Flash, like
Which no longer exists.
which no longer
Cannot
exists.
Yeah,
get
what's
Adobe
up
Flash.
with that?
What?
Adobe Flash. Like, it's just going away.
It's gone, yeah.
So now what happens to all the programs that support that?
Those programs don't work anymore.
That's absolutely mind-boggling. That's insane.
Or you have an extension on your browser that gives you Flash compatibility.
Wow.
The reason that Flash is gone is it's useless. It's outdated. You don't need it.
It is really
You
outdated.
don't even need it?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
But plugins.
Except for archaic programs, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I made a Neopets account just for fun, probably about 4 months ago.
Blast
And
from
just
past.
like the setup of it was really, really archaic. I mean, it was like, yeah, I mean, it was just an outdated system. It was really hard to use. There were things that like were necessary but seemed kind of redundant. I don't remember specifically what it was, but I just remember being like, why am I doing this twice? Why is it set up this way?
Well, now Neopets has all your Neopet information.
They certainly do, and yeah, I guess they're developing an app or something. They're like,
That's bizarre.
finally,
That's weird.
I don't really know how they would make money in the first place. I mean, I guess you could buy the coins or the currency in the game,
Some
but
kind of microtransactions.
that was the advent of it, yeah.
You know, talking about Flash made me think of work because of working in IT and constantly having to deal with Flash issues on people's PCs. And then it makes me think of privacy on your PC at work. People don't think about the fact that your job can see everything you search. So obviously there are some things that you should not be looking up on your work PC. And people still do it. Like, oh, I'm doing my Christmas shopping on Amazon while I'm at work. Dude, they probably don't care, but there's someone who can tell that you were going on Amazon during work hours and finding something for Christmas.
Yes.
It's just, and I mean, it makes sense, right? Because you're at work on a PC that is owned by that company. That company should be allowed, well, okay, that's that. They should be allowed to look at everything you're looking at.
If you're using
because-
company property, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it
because
kinda
you're an
makes
idiot
sense.
for using company property to do that stuff.
And then it makes me think about what you said the other day when you mentioned people complain about how certain things get taken off YouTube or Twitter, but they forget that it's almost like walking into someone's home. You're going onto Twitter. You're saying, "Hey, I'm going to use your platform to post this thing." If Twitter doesn't want it up or YouTube, they have every right to do that because you're posting on their platform.
See, that's a bit trickier than that, though.
Definitely, yeah. It's
Yeah.
not that cut and dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of was thinking the same thing, but theoretically it is true.
Yeah.
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 The way that it's set up is, it's true, right? Like, it's their platform. they can do what they want. But really, it's a public platform, and people are going there for their news. They're going for public discourse about things. And then you have companies like Twitter banning people simply for their opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Yet you claim to be a public platform.
I see what you
tricky.
mean. And once you have enough unique users, you almost kind of become something completely different that we
Right.
haven't seen before
Right.
because we didn't have the internet. So like we really don't know what to call it because I can't just walk into facebook.com and say whatever I want in person to go on the internet. And it's just kind of uncharted territory as to what is owned. And I kind of feel like privacy, in a sense, is ownership. I know I had mentioned it in later slides, but it sticks with me that there are certain rights to privacy that are your rights. Like, you own that right to that privacy. But then there are privacies that you may think you have a right to, but it's not necessarily that way.
Yeah.
Whether it be that you're just completely in the wrong.
It kind of freaks me out thinking about it. Like, okay, so I have a phone from Google. And if I want to use a phone from Google, they say I pretty much get to look at everything you do because you're using my thing. So if you want to use my thing, you have to let me look at everything you do. Now think about if I lent you my car for a week. And I say, well, I'll lend you my car, but only if you let me put in a camera so I can watch everything you do in my car. Well, I don't know if I want to use your car then, because now you're just, like, I don't know,
think
like,
that's-
what, I'm not doing
I think
anything wrong, but it
that's
just feels
reasonable.
weird. Well, I guess so, sure.
But I think the phone's different because Google doesn't own that phone. You purchased the phone. That is now your phone.
I guess to see your point.
But you're still using their platforms,
Yeah.
their operating system, their
It's just a little,
search
it's just a
engine.
little scummy. Like, I'll let you use it, but only if you let me look at everything you do. It's like, well, why?
In the case of the car, I understand.
Okay, fair.
Because let's say you have a very bad driving record and that's why you don't have a car right now. And now you want to borrow my car. Well, if something happens to this car and you come to me and say it wasn't my fault, well, now I have video evidence one way or the other.
Yeah, right.
But with the phone, you own that device. That phone is yours, a physical object. But then everything that you can do with the phone, you don't necessarily own, right?
Right.
You don't own the Google search engine.
Mm-hmm.
So if they were to track what you search on Google, it's Google policy, right? They're
Right.
allowed to do that.
It's possible, it's just very much questionably moral.
Because couldn't you
Yes.
push that on almost anything? Like, I'm renting an apartment. What if in 20 years you can only rent an apartment if you allow the owner of that apartment to put cameras in every
well,
room?
then they better not charge a security deposit.
Well,
I guess so.
if
I
you
don't
think
know.
about it, a property owner owns a plot of land that is owned by the state that is a part of the United States.
Okay.
So there are levels to ownership
Yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, obviously you own the land that you've purchased, so you have a lot of rights as to what goes on in that land.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's illegal in the state or if it's illegal in the United States, then your rights are kind of foregone at that
Right.
point.
They don't take priority anymore.
Yeah. Because you're breaking the law. But going back to my point, like with the internet, is that there is no like real ownership of the internet. So you can't go to one person and be like, hey, Facebook is doing immoral things, Twitter is doing immoral things, what are you going to do about it? Like, we've gone to governments and they have
And they're like, I don't know.
brought them
If
into
Facebook owns
Congress
Facebook, what do we do?
and pick them apart, and they sit there and they take it and then they go back and count their billions because there's nothing they can really do about it. But you're seeing countries try to pass legislation. I know the European passed a major one on
Facebook?
not
against
Facebook, but like
Facebook?
the internet,
Oh.
censorship, what can go on the internet, like what's legal on the internet, what's illegal on the internet, and they can control obviously
Wow.
what goes through to an extent.
Sort
I guess.
of the whole net neutrality thing.
I was
that
just thinking
happened,
that.
Mm-hmm.
which a lot of people were upset about, mainly because they were worried that their internet providers were either going to charge more or throttle access to certain websites so that you would have to pay to use specific websites.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much that really happened.
Yeah, was that like 2 years ago now?
2016.
Yeah,
No,
it was
really that
It
long
really
ago?
was,
Mhm.
because for some reason I just remember my ex-girlfriend's house, and I know that shit was 2016.
That's bizarre.
Yeah,
I cannot
when I
believe
think
it
of
was
that,
that
I
long
think
ago.
of the guy. What's his name?
Yeah, Patel.
Yeah, with the Reese's peanut butter cup mug. That became a meme very quickly. He's basically this scapegoat, spearhead, whatever you want to call it, of that whole bill.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, right now with the coronavirus stimulus package, they're adding on things to it that are going to, for example, make streaming a felony.
Well, not streaming.
Illegal
Illegal streaming.
Illegal streaming. Oh,
You
yes.
can't
Okay,
stream
okay,
Netflix.
okay.
Illegal
Okay.
streaming. A
Yeah.
felony.
Yeah. But
So-
illegal streaming. I still think.
So how does that
when-
apply? Is it
yeah.
only if I accept your stimulus package? Is it then applying
No.
to me?
No.
I
Or
mean,
no.
could you just get a
No.
VPN and kind of?
That and also
Yeah.
pirating movies has been a felony, right? That's been
Really?
a felony.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Have you ever watched a movie and at the beginning it says piracy is not a victimless crime,
Yeah,
and they
that's
go
right.
through all this shit? That
Yeah.
Piracy is
bad.
not a victimless crime, as they count their millions of dollars. Piracy is not a victimless crime.
But in a way, it almost makes sense to lump in illegal streaming with video
Oh my
piracy.
God. I
But-
mean, I get
Yeah.
it. Well, piracy is downloading. Streaming is
Right.
a totally different thing.
Right. Yeah.
So now,
Piracy's recording
yes, that too. Yeah.
or downloading. Yeah. Yeah, you can't just walk into a movie
Oh, the
theater
old
with
Pirate
a
Bay
video camera.
days.
So
That was
what's-
also like 2013.
right, but I'm saying, so what's gonna happen now? Am I gonna just get? They're just gonna bill me a fine.
The internet police are gonna kick your door in.
Yeah.
And they're gonna mess you up and then take you down to
They're gonna come in wearing suits that are
the
like
internet police
they've
station.
got like Matrix text on it. It's like black with the green text.
No, it's
and-
literally just the agents from the Matrix.
Oh, okay.
The
All
one
right.
agent from the Matrix.
The agent from the
It's-
Matrix who will
it was just
multiply
one,
and
yeah.
come and kill you
Yes.
for pirating. Yes.
First time I watched Wall-E was on a pirated disc. It was recorded in the movie theater, like with a handheld video
That's
camera.
horrible. That's the first time you
Yeah.
watched it?
Wall-E, yeah. My my Cub Scout den mother bought it in New York off the street.
Yes.
Your Cub Scout den mother.
Yeah.
It's an interesting
Yeah.
thing.
And then we watched it, and it was not good quality.
No,
'cause
obviously.
It was on a handheld camera. And we
She's
turned it
like-
on, and she was like, "What is this?"
You're like, it's Wally.
Like,
bro.
well, you bought Wally for $5.
Yeah, what'd you
What'd you
expect?
expect? Yeah. I don't know where that falls. I mean, obviously, I can understand from a logical standpoint, it's wrong. Like, I just know in my head that, like, piracy and things like that are wrong, because that is still someone's property, and even though they make a ton of money and don't deserve all of that money, it is still their property.
I'll be fully honest.
The
though,
pirate politics were okay.
Pirate politics.
the only way I feel
We gotta bring that to
legitimately
America.
what?
Yeah.
There is a party in Iceland called the Pirate Party, and they're like
Neo-libertarian
super like pro
freedom.
internet freedom.
Yeah.
And it's all kind of centered around the internet and your right to privacy on the internet. While you were cleaning the stove, James and I were talking about Viking
Yeah.
politics.
Yeah, I heard you guys
Yeah.
kind of talking about that.
Vikings.
You guys started talking about Vikings.
Look out for a
Well,
future episode on
yeah,
Vikings. We're
Vikings
definitely
coming
gonna
up.
do it. Like, they're so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely gonna be a few weeks before it pops
Complex.
out. But
Because it's gonna be
Yeah.
a few weeks before this releases.
yeah,
Right.
By then, pirate or
Pirates.
Vikings will probably be recorded.
You know what? We can do one on
But-
pirates too. There you go.
We
Yeah.
do stagger things. We had some content already created before we launched, so we
A lot
are,
of content
quote,
created.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's about 4 weeks until an episode comes out.
Right, like
When it's-
tomorrow's
Gives us
Christmas
time
Eve,
to edit.
which was supposed to be, this is technically supposed to be the holiday special.
There's supposed to be
Yeah.
flooding tomorrow, so it looks
Yeah.
like we're not recording
And
tomorrow.
Well,
high
happy
winds, like
belated
50 mile
holidays.
per hour
Yeah,
winds.
to everyone listening, happy belated holidays.
It's been a month.
I wish
Happy
I could.
2021.
Kwanzaa, Christmas, Hanukkah. I'm definitely missing a few.
How's it feel, guys? We're time traveling right now.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
kind of bizarre.
Talking to people in a year ahead of us.
Well, so speaking of Vikings, right? Yeah, I mean, if
So-
you've got something to say,
yeah.
quick, go
So
ahead.
the Privacy Act of 1974.
Oh, okay.
Code of Fair Information Practice. What this basically means is it governs the collection, maintenance, use, and dissemination of the personal information maintained by the federal government. So relating this kind of to the Patriot Act, where they could just, collect everything on anybody whenever they wanted, this gave full access to the public of what the government had. And then the Patriot Act happened, which means you pretty much don't know what they have, but you can safely assume they have everything.
Nice.
And then the USA Freedom Act of 2015 ended the bulk collection of millions of Americans' phone records. That didn't include, known felons, criminals, terrorists, suspected terrorists, but you can hopefully assume that your phone records are no longer being collected as of 2015. Legally. They're not being collected legally
I could give a shit
about phone records.
about my phone. I
Yeah.
care a little bit, because I do
believe-
call people.
I believe phone records includes texts, is what I read.
Interesting.
Yes.
Fair, but there have been countless examples of your text being, at least Snapchat especially. Like, Snapchat will work with authorities if they have to, which is fair.
Which Snapchat can collect whatever they want on their platform.
Because they are a
But
private industry.
The federal government can't be collecting it, or
Right.
the state government even.
But it's funny because
the
the
federal
government says, we're not going to collect it, but you know what? We'll just collect it from all the businesses that are collecting it.
Just ask. We'll just probably strong arm them.
Yeah, a lot of companies pay or sell. They sell.
Yeah, they sell
their
your data.
information
Yep.
to the government
That's
Yep.
good.
and other companies.
That's great.
Who will
Loving
then
it.
repurpose it for other things.
So where were we?
The history of privacy.
The history of privacy, part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
So is privacy a thing? Well, I mean, yeah, privacy's always kind of been a thing, right? It really didn't start becoming a real thing until the 1800s, probably.
Because I can imagine people had privacy, like, this is my hut, my stuff.
Some people.
But it's also, we don't know what their culture was like. So maybe it was
Right.
totally normal to just walk into someone's house and say, hey, let me look at your
Possibly.
stuff. I mean, we don't know.
I think
Examining-
solitude was a thing, but privacy.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
the
know.
only time you had any privacy was when you were in solitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so.
You
Yeah.
had to be
Just,
alone.
Based on a modern examination of tribes and villages, 9 out of 12 villages had bedchambers that were private.
Where are you pulling this information from?
Oh, I
Nine out of 12
Yeah, I can
villages.
pull up the
From
article again.
when?
I was gonna say, yeah.
Like
Well,
from
like
what-
2013.
No, from
No, like what villages?
yeah,
Oh, it didn't specifically say the villages, but
what time period?
it's modern. It's which one? I don't
Current
think it was
Villages, like modern
Yes,
villages.
like current villages in like, third world countries. This is not what I was. I'm not gonna be able to find it on Google. 'cause I found
South
it on
America.
DuckDuckGo. Yeah, I can post. I can find the article and we can post that with the episode. But 9 out of 12 villages where the members of the tribe preferred to have sex in solitude. But that left 3 out of the 12 villages where sex outside, like just out and about in nature
Didn't matter.
was completely normal, and nobody really cared. So
I think you could still find that now.
sure, but
I mean, there are a lot of examples of just exhibitionism. I mean, as a society, in America at least, it's not really.
Oh God, no! If you were
Okay.
just out in the streets having sex on the wall of a building, people wouldn't be very happy.
yeah,
Oh, part of me wants to say like it's natural.
Yeah, like,
it's life, but
The thing is, no one wants to see it, but it's also like no one wants to see you accidentally throw up or it's just I don't
But
know.
it's
the
a
one you can
vulnerable state.
control.
That is for sure.
That's true. That's you can control.
Mhm.
That's I don't know. That's a very good point.
and it's not to say that the tribes of people that don't have sex in solitude are intentionally having sex in front of the tribe. They're just
More like they don't
not
care.
concerned about being in a private bedchamber, maybe because they don't even have private bedchambers.
I don't know.
They're like taken in the bushes.
Yeah. Also, survival, at least
A sex bush.
specifically in villages, survival comes before privacy, right?
Yeah, I
Always.
mean probably. Yeah.
Which also connects to the Patriot Act, right? We were so concerned that terrorists were going to come to the United States and kill all of us that we gave up every little bit of privacy that we may have had. We did it for the good of survival.
Guess you could say that.
At least in our perception of it, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how it was portrayed to the public, people assumed that it was for their survival.
I think we played right into their hands. I think the fact that we call them terrorists and the fact that they successfully instilled terror and fear.
Well, that's why they're called terrorists.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they
right.
successfully instilled terror.
Terror and
Yes.
fear.
Well, okay, maybe that's not their actual goal or purpose. I mean, obviously.
Well, they have their own motives, but the way that they're trying to achieve those things is through terror.
Make them afraid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terrify
So terror
them.
is a part of their agenda.
In a
Hence
way.
terrorism. Yes.
But the end goal isn't
No, that's their
necessarily-
tool.
Yeah. it's-
Okay, yeah, I see your point. Yeah.
Ancient cities sort of had privacy. Specifically, Greek houses were designed to give the maximum amount of light with the minimal exposure to public view. So
Huh.
they definitely had the sense of privacy. They knew that in their home they didn't want people peering through their windows, but they also needed light. They didn't have electricity to start.
How dare you watch me
Um,
make a painting?
I'm
Yeah.
so for it. I really don't like people enough to make my life televised to the world. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want big windows. I mean, I
Yeah,
want
that's always confused me. The people that have the massive windows just into their entire house, and you're like, wow, look at that person's house. I can see everything and everything they're doing.
It's like
And
my house.
sort of,
Sort of, but
you're
like,
up higher, and
there's
also
a whole golf course.
yeah,
Yeah, and also like you really have to be looking with intent.
You'd have to
through the
be
window.
way more elevated to even see at an angle like
Yeah.
you standing in
That's
the
such a good
store.
and
point.
if you're far enough away to see through the window, you won't be able to tell what's going on.
Yeah, that's very
Barely.
true. Yeah.
Maybe you could be like, yeah, that guy's clapping cheeks in there, but like, it's far enough to where they don't know who you are or what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Very true.
I would like lots of windows if there was nobody else around.
Yeah, in the
You
middle
know,
of
if
the
you're
woods.
just in the middle of the woods, or
That way
Or just like a
bear can
room,
yeah,
Smash things.
like a
somewhere-
couple rooms that have bigger windows than the others,
yeah.
bay windows, like at your house or your mom's house.
Yeah. I don't get why people post their lives on social media. Because, number one, then everyone's. Okay, so there's. I want to be careful how I phrase all this or how I express it. But I could understand if someone's. Oh, I'm backpacking through Norway and I want to vlog my journey. Like, cool, sure, that's a cool experience for people to watch. But the people who just post their daily mundane bullshit every day, all the time, everyone can see what you're doing, what's going on in your life. The private industries that you're posting through can see everything you're doing. It's just kind of weird. It's
No, I
just
think it's the craving for connectivity.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's attention and a connection with people.
And also, I think people that post on social media, for the most part, keep the very private things off of social media, for the most part.
Generally speaking, yeah. Because then you do have some people who just post stuff that it's like, why did you post that?
They
Please
post a
don't.
3-page rant on Facebook about
Yeah.
how their partner is not washing the stove, cleaning the stove every day.
Yeah, like why?
But
I remember seeing a post one time. It was really cringe. This girl's like, man, she posted on Facebook. She's like, I can't believe my mom. I tell her not to use my sex toys and she still pulls them out and uses them and everything. I'm like, dude, don't post. Stop.
But they maybe don't care if people know that they have sex toys
It's just
or
weird.
share them with their mom.
It's just weird to me that you're posting that
Well, then
situation.
don't follow them.
Well, yeah, fair.
It's like
Right.
saying, oh, wow, I read the New York Times today and this article is really weird. Just don't read the New York Times then.
I guess so. I don't know. Yeah.
I was gonna say don't follow him too, but
Well, I mean, I saw it on Reddit, so it's not like I even.
Ah.
But
Well, you can just click the 3 dots and hide the post.
there you go.
it's
Get it.
definitely something
Block
you
the
would see
user.
on Facebook.
Yeah, it is.
If
I
anything.
thought you meant on Facebook.
Yeah.
No, I know it was.
But I can also see
it was
it on
a
Reddit.
it was a
so-
screenshot from Facebook on
Oh,
Reddit.
okay.
I like
You know
how
what I mean?
a lot of people agree that like Facebook is just
trashy.
toxic. It's just so toxic at
Yeah.
this point.
Trash.
It's beyond. Yeah, it's not even toxic. It's trashy. It's just shit post after shit post, and I will literally like. Maybe I just don't have anything good to say, or maybe I just don't care to let the world know like what's going on in my life. But I will sit on a tweet for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I'll be like, what do I want to tweet? Not on, like, I'm talking my personal accounts.
Yeah.
Like, I will sit there and be like, what do I even have to say to these people? Like, I don't really care.
Mhm.
I've never posted on Facebook. I used to have a Twitter, so I guess I did tweet. But
Definitely posted on
I-
Facebook when I was like 15 and younger.
yeah, no, when I made my Facebook, I was probably like 13. Didn't ever post because I was like, I don't like what do I have to say that number one I want anybody to know or read, or two anybody's gonna care about.
Right, and if I'm doing it for likes and retweets, like, it just seems kind of...
Like karma hoary.
Yeah, it is
Karma
karma whoring, but it's also just, like, incredibly egotistical.
Mhm.
I really
Karma
don't have a
and
sense of self like that.
Karma
Like,
on Reddit.
Karma in the Reddit sense.
Yeah.
which is fine. I guess people like to do that, but it just seems like you're kind of living a lie.
I used to have a girlfriend that used Twitter a lot, and she would subtweet or what is that?
Retweet?
Yeah.
No.
No, I think you're
Subtweet.
right. Yeah,
Subtweet?
Yeah,
it's where you tweet about someone, but you
but
don't
you
mention
don't
them.
mention them. So she would subtweet me all the time, and I'd be like, "What the hell? Like, what? Talk to me. Don't go to Twitter and talk about me.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk to me."
What the heck? That's like just talking shit behind your back.
But
Well, if she
not
wasn't-
behind your back because it's on a public forum.
Yeah, that's
Right.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
It's like,
Yeah.
what is your intention? We were talking
Yeah.
about that earlier with a situation I ran into. Like,
Yeah,
what is the ultimate
why are you posting?
intention for this?
Yeah.
Um,
To understand is to stand under, which is a good way to understand.
Yes.
It's sorry.
it is.
It's an
no,
old
it-
inside
it's
joke.
very no. It's an old.
It's a quote,
It's- it-
actually.
You tweeted that like
I know.
that was
it's a
like the
quote.
one tweet you ever made. And I laughed.
You
so
really
hard the first
resonated
time I
with
read
it.
No, I literally it's burned into my memory. I read that when I was like 18, and I was like, "This is hilarious."
It's a
God, that was-
Rita Kent quote.
Really?
To understand is to stand under, which is to look up to, which is a good way to understand.
Oh, okay. So I missed a piece there.
Yeah.
Interesting. See, memory's faulty.
Yeah, it's a good quote. I on certain things like to see eye to eye.
Honestly, I don't know if it's a good quote.
know either.
Yeah.
To
like-
understand is to stand under, which is to look up to, which is a good way to understand. But the first part of it, to understand, is to stand under.
But if I'm trying to understand how a microphone is working, I'm not standing under the microphone.
But you are saying that the microphone is above you. It's above your understanding. So therefore, you are
okay.
standing
It's not
under it.
physical. It's
And then you are
metaphorical.
looking
Right.
up to it. You're
Right.
saying, wow, this microphone is amazing. I don't know how it works. And then you learn about it and you can understand it. I think is what the quote means.
But if you understand it,
You don't understand things until you understand them.
them.
Yes. You don't know what you don't know.
That's just it.
But
It's,
isn't understanding like understanding, meaning that I'm done. I'm not.
I don't
not-
know. That's that again.
I'm not doing
that
it.
goes into.
I'm done with
Is
it.
that idiom? Is that an
Oh,
idiom? No, it's not really an
yeah.
idiom.
I mean, it's a
It's more of a
quote, which I
phrase.
think we will cover in
Shout
idioms.
out to idioms, our future episode
I
that
think we'll do
has not been birthed yet.
We're just living in the
idioms
future right now.
with
Yeah.
body language, with
Ooh.
sayings, with
Speaking
quotes.
speaking of which, a little mid show advertisement. Timeforanything.com. That's how you get to all our socials. It's got all our stuff.
All of our stuff.
Got some bloopers on there. You can also send us suggestions. That's what made me think
You
of
can
that.
find us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Reddit,
Yeah.
on Discord.
Tell us what you want us to talk about.
Discord's not up yet.
Discord isn't
Maybe
up yet.
By the time this releases, it will be. They just added some great new features that is going to make it
Well, hey, if
so much
if
easier.
it is up by the time this episode releases, it will be on the website, and
Yep.
also we have a link tree on most of our socials that gets you to everything anyway. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just great.
One other thing, just on episode suggestions, I was talking to Steph, Matt's girlfriend,
yeah,
and Brave New World has, well, Peacock, NBC, has a Brave New World series.
yeah, you were telling me it's garbage.
I watched the first episode. So she called me like, I don't know, a week ago or something. Was like, "Have you seen this show?" And I was like, I said, I mean, I saw of it, but I haven't watched it. I didn't really think it was going to be any good. And she said, "I'm almost done with the first episode. It is absolutely terrible." So I said, "Okay, I have to watch this."
You have to watch it,
I
right?
just have to see.
Because it's such a good book.
Yeah. And so I watched it. The first episode. The only character I enjoyed was John's mom.
Wow, that hurts.
And she had like a 3-minute appearance,
Oof.
at least in the first episode. I know
Okay.
she comes up later in the book, but I don't know what they'll do with the series. So my point here is Steph wants to come on and we'll do a Brave New World thing.
Ooh, that kind of makes
Either
me.
one episode or a series. What I want to do with it is reread the book and then watch the entire series
Ooh,
and analyze it.
nice.
Compare, contrast,
That sounds pretty neat.
say why the show is so bad, because I went online after I finished the first episode. I went to the internet and I said, like, let me look up what other people are saying. I came across this article that was like, why Peacock's or NBC's Brave New World is so much better than the book. I said,
What?
I have to click on this, right?
Clickbait, it got you.
No, he was trying to make a good argument. It just felt like he didn't either understand the book, understand how Huxley writes, or didn't read the book at all.
Ah.
And just read like Spark Notes.
Interesting.
But,
I would have to reread
yeah,
Brave New World.
it's a good book. I have an extra copy if you need one.
Definitely.
People didn't have much privacy in Brave
Lot of
New
read.
World, did they?
There was no privacy in Brave New World.
I've never.
It's insane, dude. It's like a caste system of like, is that the right way to phrase it? Like alphas, betas, gammas, deltas, epsilons. You're like
It's a hierarchy.
people are bred in a lab.
Uh-huh.
They're not even bred. They're not born.
They're decanted.
decanted.
That's what they call it.
They have laboratories. So Huxley does an amazing job in the first 3 to 5 chapters of just setting up the world.
Mm-hmm.
The first chapter, he takes you through this facility that it's scientists creating. I don't want to say fetuses because it's not a fetus yet, but it's a cell, right? They're genetically engineering these humans.
People, yeah.
And he takes you through the genetic engineering, the process of, well, we don't give the gammas as much air as we give the alphas because we want them to be slower, dumber people.
Because alphas are top shit.
Yeah.
And they literally purposely breed the epsilons with mental disorders
Yes.
so that they can't.
Yeah.
Well, they, I
In the book, not in the series. In the series,
Oh.
In the series, well, yeah, the series, it shows the people as people. You know, it's more like, oh, this hierarchy system is super biased, and we're all really just the
Oh
same.
no, it's just 2020. I mean, 2020 take on all of it.
Sort of.
Oh
I
god.
think it was from 2019 or 2018,
Oh.
but
Everybody's the same,
Yeah.
except we're not.
yeah.
But we are. But we're
in
not.
the
But we're
book,
not.
they're definitely.
No,
Um,
but look,
Can we not just admit that
we're
we're
all
different?
humans.
Like
But
we're we're all just no, hold up. We're like,
we are different. We are humans.
no, we're humans, so we're the same, but we're also so different. But also, who cares, right?
I like that we're in stereo settings so that
yeah.
at the same time,
Oh yeah, it's coming left
in
and
one
right.
ear, it's,
Yeah,
we are humans.
but we're all different, but we're all the same. I just don't care. I don't.
The differences aren't
People care
in-
too much.
I know.
The differences aren't in biology as much as they're in culture and society.
Yes.
There are differences in biology. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
But that's not where the
Racists care.
well, no, racists care. Yes, because racism is a thing that was created by slave owners.
Yeah, but racists only really think about the color.
I don't
They
care.
also
fucking
think about the
stupid.
culture. They also
That's.
think
I mean,
about,
that's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care about race, but I care about racism.
I see your
Makes
point.
sense.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm not going to say the cliche, I don't see color or anything like that. Like, no, I clearly see color and I see the implications that it has on people. But
Yes.
I don't treat people differently based on color.
It's. Go ahead.
My point was, it's not about biology in most of the world. Look at Russia. Russia hates the Ukraine people. They're
Right.
essentially the same people
Mhm.
that just come from a different place.
Yeah.
They have a slightly different culture, and yeah, so it's the rift between people is in culture more than it's in biology. It's just that in America we had this whole racism issue that is seen elsewhere, right? You have Northern European countries that are racist, like Finland and
Oh, there are plenty of
Denmark
places in
and-
Europe that are racist, especially
yeah.
I see it in the sport of soccer. So I get a lot of like news on my sports apps about racism in soccer play and Italian fans throwing bananas at an African player or making
That's
monkey
so
chants.
fucked up.
Or in the case of like in one case, like literally there are just fans like sig hailing just in the stands. German
Oh my
too.
god.
So the implication that racism is specific to one place, absolute
Yeah.
lie. It's everywhere, even in Asian countries.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely in Asian
Yeah.
countries.
To quote one of the greatest men of all time, I judge people based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. It's that simple. Literally, like, how can we not just... I don't care what you look like. I don't care where you're from. I care how you act and treat other people. That's all I care about. So, anyway, somehow we got here when
Can I
we were
parlay
talking about privacy.
Racism and privacy.
Go ahead, because...
Stop
Yeah,
and frisk,
that's,
baby.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's
A
right.
complete invasion of privacy
Yeah.
based upon the premise of your race.
Profiling. Yep.
yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
the TSA,
TSA.
we have a friend,
Yeah.
Rohan, who is Indian. And
Rohan.
his family gets stopped at the airport almost every time they travel. I
Really?
think I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he's told me that before.
Oh, but I believe that they've gotten profiled several times.
Yes. I know that he's been stopped in the airport before.
That's so messed up, dude.
And I have grandparents that like to cruise a lot up until 2020.
Right.
And
Till COVID happened.
sometimes they would have to fly. Never racially profiled because they're
No,
white.
Because they're old white people and you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
But stop and frisk, big problem, especially in New York. I think that's done now. I believe stop and frisk has been outlawed.
Listen, I'll be fully honest. I can understand stopping and frisking someone based on where they're from. Okay, let me elaborate.
Yes.
You live in the heart of New York City.
But how
Okay.
do you know
No, you
that
don't.
somebody
No.
walking down the street lives in the heart of New York City?
No. I guess I'm
Because
just
the
like
color of their skin?
no,
I
because
mean,
like
that's how officers would
no,
decide.
I guess I'm saying like okay, your license or something. You're at the airport. It says you live in a city that has a high crime rate. Okay, fair. Honestly, fair.
But for stop and frisk, that's
It's you can't even
you don't look at the license
yeah exactly.
before
You just
stop
literally
them and frisk them.
judge a book by its cover.
Yes.
Exactly. It's terrible.
And TSA doesn't look at your license;
Yeah.
they
No,
look
they
at the
don't.
color of your skin.
Yeah.
I actually, in AP Gov in high school, my teacher played a video on stop and frisk, and I think he was trying to challenge my intelligence in a good way. I don't think he actually came from a hateful place,
Yeah.
but I basically made a comment that stop and frisk seems incredibly racist and completely ineffective, and he was like, well, actually it has a 6% success rate with actually finding evidence of criminal activity on the person
Fair.
they frisk. And my response was, I cannot believe I said this. I said, if 6% of the people in this classroom passed your class, would you be an effective teacher?
Hey, that's a good point.
Like pointing at success rates saying, oh, but we do actually occasionally get a hit on something makes no sense to me.
In a
I feel
high
like he was
crime
challenging me
area.
because he seemed like a nice guy, and I didn't want to put that on, but I will never forget that.
Was that Mr. A who taught
Yeah.
military history?
Mm-hmm.
Mr.
No,
A
no,
was-
no, 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 not that Mr. A.
not Mr.
Different
A.
Mr. A down the hall.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking
Mr.
about.
Asshole, or
Depends on the Mr. A we're talking about here. He specifically taught government. I like Mr. A. I just
He did
just
debate
can't
club.
believe that he said that. Yeah, he did that too. He was.
Which is probably why he said
Yeah,
that. because
I
Yeah.
he was a
really
debater.
do think
Yeah.
he was just challenging
Well, he was
me.
probably just playing devil's advocate. Maybe.
Yes.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
that's what you do in debate club.
Yeah, I think as a teacher too, you
Yeah.
have to challenge your students to think critically.
Mhm.
It's not just about retaining the information, it's about like why even retain this information. In some cases, you're just retaining information to regurgitate it onto a test and to never use it again, which is the unfortunate aspect of education in general. But
My school did not prepare me for the world.
it didn't?
Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Did it not?
It didn't teach me how to do taxes and
High school didn't.
High school, I was talking, when you said that, I thought
what?
vocational, like
You were
your-
taught
the
how to
tech
do
school you
taxes?
went to.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we were.
Miss Mitchell.
What?
No.
Oh my! Wait, you're totally right. I
Did
totally forgot about that
taxes,
class.
wrote checks, learned to cook,
Oh my gosh! Wait,
watched
yeah.
a baby be born.
wait, yeah, you're right.
I've written
I'm A.
checks for friends because they don't know how to write a check.
Wait, okay. See,
Which is
Yeah, that's sad.
But see,
That's
clearly, I
it's
didn't
it's
retain the
it's,
information.
it's written there. It's, put your name down.
It
put
says
how
it
much
all
you're
right
gonna
there.
give
It's-
them.
It's really easy to write a check.
Yes.
And if you don't know how to write a check, you just Google how to write a check because we live
Or
in
you just
2020.
Follow the prompts on the check. It's
I-
really
well,
not that
no,
hard.
The thing is that you think it's such a big thing, like you're trying to write a check, so the last thing you want to do is write someone a check that doesn't work properly. So then you start overthinking how to write a check, even though everything's right there. You go, oh my god, what if I do it wrong?
Well, that's with anything. You can
Yeah,
overthink
exactly.
anything. What
Yeah.
if I do it wrong?
Yeah.
But you just
Just
Do
fill out
it.
the info.
do it
Yeah.
and then look over it and say, "Huh, that looks right," and then give the person the check. And
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Yeah, I'm learning at my new job that asking questions and doing things right pretty much go hand in hand. Like
Of course.
yeah,
taking your time too.
yes,
Like not rushing into something. I mean, if a check is really that menacing to you, take your time with it, do your research, ask questions to I guess your mom. I was actually just thinking about this today. How do you buy and sell a house? And I was like, I bet my aunt knows how to buy and sell a house because she's always hopping from one house to another.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know. Like if I were to go buy a house, like okay, I need a down payment and then from there I also pay like a mortgage, and
But then there's like escrow and all that other shit.
yeah, like I don't even
All
know what
this
that means.
Other stuff. Yeah.
There's just other
And
stuff.
your down payment has to be like 20% of the
10.
house. Like 10 or 20, it depends on
Yeah, it depends.
on like the total cost of the house or something like that.
It
It's
depends.
So you
on
gotta have
the loan
20K
that
if you
you're
want
getting.
to.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
also if you're going through any government programs
Yeah.
like FTO and
yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
it's mind-boggling,
yeah.
and you're just kind of expected to figure that out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people go to estate agencies or real estate agencies, and they take care of most of
A lot
it
of that?
for you,
Okay.
or at least guide you through it.
Mhm.
Like, hey, here's this house. This is in your budget. You go to the bank and you say, this is my line of credit. How much money can I get for a house? They say, give you $300,000 for a house. You go, should not buy a $300,000 house because if anything ever happens, I will probably lose that house. So then you buy a house like half that price, and people will, like the agency will either hook you up with creditors or
What scares me is those agents really just want to go on their lunch break and go home. So they
No, they really want your money.
yeah,
well,
they
that's
really want your
true. So they will fuck you probably.
They won't fuck you necessarily. They
will
could.
show there are a lot of good agents out there
Yeah.
that will work with you. Is that buying a house is not a 1 week commitment,
Right.
it can span over several years even.
Oh yeah, I mean people are paying off their mortgages after like 20 years after buying a house. It's crazy.
Well, not even that.
Well, no,
But just like
to
the
find a
process
house.
of actually
Oh,
finding
oh.
a house and buying it.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between the agent selling the house and the agent helping you buy the house. The agent selling the house is going to try to get the most money for the house that they can because they get a percentage of that money. The people or the agent helping you buy the house wants to put you in a house that you will like so that you will pay more money potentially. Or if you give them a strict budget, they will try to work within that budget because they get paid differently. They don't necessarily get a
Some business is better than none.
right.
So you really should just have a basis for what you want and stick to that basis. Don't let people upsell you. But I've met some good salespeople in my life.
So now
And-
let's say you bought a house.
Okay.
with
You let-
3 other families,
And I don't know.
and now you have no privacy.
No.
You
Well, I
lost
guess
your
I'm just-
privacy just like
Yeah.
we lost the topic of conversation.
Well, like I have an
Wow.
apartment. Okay, so let's just call this my house. How much privacy do I actually have here? Okay.
Well, a few hundred years ago, there would be way more than just one person living in this apartment.
Yeah,
There'd
that's
very
probably
true.
be. You have what, 3, maybe 4 rooms
Not
total.
even hundreds of years ago, just like before,
I mean, still today.
still today, even.
But in
there are multiple
medieval
families in
Europe
small places.
and even in Rome, it was very common to have several families living
Living
in
in one
a
house.
very
yeah.
small house, in a 1-room house.
Mm.
You have no privacy. Your bedroom is in the same room as the kitchen and the dining
Yeah.
room and the living area.
The thing is,
It's all
I
the
think
same thing.
I think I'd rather. I want to be careful.
The
'cause
smell.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe I'll take this statement back, but I would maybe rather have private industry know everything I'm doing than the people in the house I'm living with know everything I'm doing, right?
Interesting.
I don't know because it just depends on who you live with, right? Like when I lived with my mom, she would be in everything I was doing, like just going into my closet for no reason and being like, "Well, you didn't do the dishes in the kitchen downstairs." I'm like, "Dude, you're on top of everything." But it's like, well, so now I live by myself in my own apartment.
Mhm.
But you know what? My phone's always listening to me. Anything I search on my computer or on my Fire TV, it knows everything. It's
Attributed
just
to you.
I'm not actually private at any point.
Not really,
Most
no.
people aren't.
Right.
Um,
Not in 2020.
and it's not necessarily a bad thing, because well, number one, you're just a drop in the bucket, right?
Yeah.
If they have all of everybody's information, the chances that yours is going to get singled out. But they also will sell those or that information or use that information for targeted ads.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Dude, you know how hard it is to disable that?
yes, yeah.
It's so. I mean, I think
that's why you just
I
use
finally
DuckDuckGo.
did it to a degree. Well, no, it's even more difficult for me because my phone is a
on
Google
your
phone.
Yeah.
Like you have like
What's really weird?
Samsung, so it's
What's-
a little different.
Yeah, what's really weird to me is Reddit has targeted ads. And I don't know how. I don't know if it's hooked up to the email or.
Your user account, maybe.
Well, yeah, but.
Oh, oh. I see your point.
Yeah,
Your email, maybe.
because if I'm logged in, like for example, I'm on my laptop right now on Google Docs, logged in as my
Your email.
email, the same email that I use for Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
So now if I go to Google in this window and I'm logged in as my email,
You search
and
for
I search
vacuum
something,
cleaners.
yeah, am I going to get an ad on Reddit for vacuum cleaners because it's attached to the email?
Yeah,
Maybe.
But it could be your phone.
Could also be the phone, but
Like it could be mining information from your phone. Like your phone
Yeah.
collects all the data, and then once you accept the agreement for Reddit when you sign up, it is like, oh, cool, I get to take some of your phone data to understand you better
Yeah.
to give you ads.
it would have to be real-time data mining though.
It's
Because
possible, yeah.
with DuckDuckGo, I have it set where it doesn't save any data, and if I do go to a website, there's this neat little fire button that just clears all your cache data.
Ah, interesting.
So you go in here and you go Wumbo
Search
or
for Wumbo.
Wing, I guess, because swipe or Winnow, I don't even know. But then you click this fire button and you say clear all tabs and data,
And you say destroy
and it
everything.
says data cleared, and that's a phone. That's Samsung's message. That's not even DuckDuckGo's message. That's my phone telling me I have cleared your data.
Interesting.
So, how does Reddit then take the data that I cleared and use it for targeted ads?
I don't know. It's creepy, man. You don't know.
Yeah.
It's really freaking creepy.
Yeah,
Is
it
it
is.
not? It's
Mhm.
kind of chilling.
The worst is when you're talking about something and you
then
get
you
an
get ads
ad.
for it.
That
Yep.
just
Because again, your phone's
automatically
listening.
proves the hot mic.
Either
Because-
that or it's a coincidence.
It
Because
could be,
that-
but there's so
because-
specific.
Because that advertisement was already out there.
But
Right.
it's happened to too many people I know too often.
Right.
But you don't know if if you hadn't talked about that, if you were going to see that ad anyway.
I see your point. Like you can't know the separate
The
path.
ad
Yeah.
already exists
Yeah.
on the platform that we're talking about, whatever platform it is. We're not even talking about Reddit specifically. We could be talking about Hulu, right? The advertisement exists on that platform, so the chances are you would see it at some point anyway.
Mm,
It's just
Yeah.
weird when it pops
When it-
up
when
when
it-
you're
yeah.
talking about it.
exactly.
I can tell you based on my Hulu ads and the election this past November, Democrats were targeting moderates hard. Not moderates, not even moderates, independents.
Well, they had
Because
to.
I'm registered independent. Yep. Oh yeah, 100%. I don't know where this whole idea of like the silent majority comes from. Really, I don't really understand it.
I think the idea that most people are not registered to a political party,
It's by like 3%.
is it?
Yeah, it's like 36, 33, 30. Those numbers make sense?
Oh
No.
yeah, I think you're.
No, it's
Well,
like
but that's registered.
They don't. That's like
They don't make
100.
sense.
Yeah,
Is
it's
that
like
of-
34, 33, 33. It's not
Is that of registered
'cause
voters,
that fast.
or is it registered independent? That is-
Independent.
Yeah,
I
because,
think those numbers
like,
have changed probably. Let me
Phil,
see.
for example, are you registered to vote?
I think I'm registered Democrat because that's what I.
Or are you?
Yeah, because that's what I did back when I was, like 18 or something.
18, yeah.
Because my mom was like, "Oh, Republican," and I was like, "No, I think I'm gonna do Democrat."
I have to change my political party.
I don't really want to get into my political views. 'cause,
Oh, no,
you know,
political party
but-
does not mean political views.
That's very true.
I'm
yeah.
I'm registered Republican. I'm changing my party because
I
there's
see.
no longer a Republican in office.
Okay.
So when the Civil War comes, I won't be targeted. When I
Okay.
start pulling men out of the houses, I won't be targeted.
Okay.
At least just on Gallup poll, it's actually recurring every year. In December 1st to the 17th of 2020, 25% registered Republicans, 41% independent, 31% Democrat.
Wow.
Okay, so
So the
my numbers
majority-
were wrong.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. You also have to think about, registered
Oh,
Republicans.
that's not registered. That's considered.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, people considered, or we'll just say registered. People registered Republican, probably going to vote Republican. People registered Democrat, probably going to vote Democrat. So really, it's up to the people that are in the middle to decide who is president, as long as there's an approximately equal amount of people on the left and the right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what they mean by silent majority. Even if, the 25% Republicans and 31% Democrats make up more of the percentage than the, quote, silent majority, because they then aren't the majority, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the opposite of the silent majority would be the people that are registered with
Yeah.
the party.
I see your point.
But it's the fact that that half is then split into the two parties that the silent majority becomes a majority.
Politics.
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 Yeah.
It's monotonous.
Well, you were saying you're pretty sure that, I mean, depending on what you're registered as, you probably get different ads.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
100%. I got a lot of Republican ads on YouTube during the election and not that many Democratic ads. Eventually I think the Democrats started buffing up their advertisement, but
Huh.
Kind of wrapping up privacy, I would recommend that people go watch, if you're interested in politics and data mining. Weird thing to be interested in, I guess. But it's very current and very much a part of your life, whether you like it or not. The Great Hack on Netflix is all about how Donald Trump utilized a company called Cambridge Analytica, which essentially mined millions of Americans' data to the point where they could actually create a dynamic profile of your likes, your dislikes, your political views, your affiliations, all things like that.
That's terrifying.
Wow.
Break it down by person.
Wait, see, yeah, sorry. There's actually one more thing I want to get into is, I don't know if you want to call it like neural net or microchipping or like something when probably, inevitably, your brain becomes hooked up to a computer. What then? Because then there's really no escape.
well, then I don't think we'll be as concerned with privacy. If you're willing,
I guess so.
if you're willing to succumb to,
I was going to say.
No, but that's the thing is eventually it's not going to be willing.
It's
not
right,
an
but
option.
at first it is.
At first it will be, but I can
And
imagine.
by the time that it's not an option, then it won't matter. We won't have that expectation or
of privacy, yeah.
that desire for privacy, because either we'll have a different illusion of privacy. And maybe if you're hooked up to the computer, you can still have your own house or something where you feel like you're secluded, like we do now. Even though we're not, we still feel secluded.
Yeah.
So I think it'll.
It's
just
going to
be
take
an
a
illusion.
while for
Yeah.
society to warm up to the idea of being microchipped. A while.
If
Yeah.
they're not microchipping already.
If they're not doing it already,
Some
but
people
like
think that Bill Gates is a proponent for vaccines because he puts microchips in vaccines. I'm not saying I believe this.
it is what people.
But
There
if
are
you
people
go-
that believe that. Though.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I wouldn't be surprised. However, I have no reason to believe that that's the case.
Yeah.
That's all
If
I'm
you go
gonna
to
say.
r/conspiracy memes on
Oh,
Reddit,
God.
they post about Bill Gates microchipping probably like 50 times a day.
Jeez, that's just
So-
awful.
It's not the best sub I've ever been on,
No.
but it can be
It's
funny
not.
at times, This sort of ironic thing where they making fun of people that believed conspiracies, and then I realized that
That
no,
it's
they
legit.
are
Actually
like
believe in
hardcore
conspiracies.
conspiracy theorists.
Well, dang. Well, I don't know. We covered quite a bit of stuff. Unless you guys want to hop on to something else real quick.
I just have one point
Go ahead.
about Britain. Britain's since around the 90s, Britain started implementing CCTV surveillance
Oh,
On
yeah, that's
pretty
right.
much every city street corner.
Yeah, that's true.
And at first people were really upset this is an invasion of privacy. I don't want my face on camera all the time. You are probably tracking where I'm going. But after a little while, people warmed up to that idea. Sort of what we were talking about with microchipping or the brain-computer
neural net, whatever the hell you want to call
yeah.
it.
You know, at first people were very hesitant and angry about it. But now more people are just like, whatever, it blends in the background. It keeps our streets safe. But
well, the burning question is, what do you have to hide?
right.
Like, if you care about
And
privacy so much, like, what do you have to hide?
And that's Google's argument too. When asked, why are you doing this? You shouldn't have access to all of my internet records. They say, well, you know, if you're looking something up on Google that you don't want anybody to see, then maybe you shouldn't be looking it up at all.
It's a
I
fair
don't know.
point, but at the same time, the context of looking something up could be skewed. Let's say I have a friend who is having a bad trip on psychedelics, and I need to Google search the effects of that psychedelic in order to help them or to better understand what had just happened. I'm not doing it.
But yeah, they came to you with an issue, and now you're looking up that issue, and now you're
but it's
flagged
on,
for
yeah,
that.
exactly. You're
Yeah.
flagged or whatever it
Or
may
you
be.
have to write an essay on how people make homemade bombs. So now and now I just said bomb. So now,
Yeah.
so now this is going to be looked
something
at.
somewhere. It's like
Yeah,
Phillips
exactly.
bomb.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
really, I'm just
dude.
trying to write an essay on homemade bombs.
I'm already on a
Because-
list somewhere because my intelligence degree, I had to look up that stuff all the time.
Oh, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you get a degree in intelligence analysis and you're constantly looking these things up, you're definitely flagged.
Oh, yeah. I had to do so many reports on Snowden. At least two. At least two reports on Snowden. And the government does not like anybody looking up Snowden.
Nope.
If you're trying to get a job with the federal government and you read Snowden's book, they will not give you a job. In fact, they can fire you if you
Really?
read his book.
What?
Yes. Because he is a terrorist. He's not even a terrorist.
He's a traitor.
He's a traitor. He's treasonous. The book is therefore treasonous. But it can be sold in the U.S. Like, freedom of speech and all that.
Yeah.
But
What was the one founding father that? Oh, it was Benedict Arnold.
Benedict Cumbersnatch,
Cumbersnatch. Yeah.
Bumper Snump, Butternut
Bumper
Squash,
attached.
Butternut
I
Soup.
thought you were going to refer to Voltaire in France. When all of his writings were very anti-monarchy
Mm-hmm.
during a monarchy. So he lived right on the border, and he would release a book and then hop the border.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he did it. I think he did it like twice. He actually did get arrested once or twice. Was just kept in a jail,
Yikes.
prisoner, political prisoner. Yeah,
Where you really don't have any privacy.
true. Yeah, jail is probably the one place
It's very
where
minimally
you
private.
will know for a fact that you don't have privacy.
It can be elusive or an illusion, and it is a very fleeting idea, if anything, because there are actually, especially in 2020, going into 2021, very few examples of complete privacy.
Wait, I just thought about that. This episode's going to release in 2021.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I
I
said
said,
that earlier.
we are in the
that's-
future.
I didn't
Talking
even think about
future,
that.
a year ahead of us.
Yeah, it's weird.
But I mean, even in the 1800s, privacy was difficult because you had newspapers that you had journalists just sitting around and saying, Phil visited Derek yesterday, and they hung out for like 3 hours, and then Phil went home. Or
And Phil didn't give Derek a kiss.
Damn it. I forgot.
Good night.
I
Always kiss the homies good night.
Sorry.
always. During my internship, I was poring over a lot of old newspapers, and the one article was about how this guy had this kid who owed a lot of money, and so the guy disowned the kid, so you shouldn't associate with that guy with the kid anymore, because yeah. I was like, well, why is this in the newspaper? Obviously because either the man that disowned the kid wanted to make sure that the town knew that this kid wasn't welcomed in the family anymore. But and how else do you do it, right? Because now you would just go to social media and say, I'm disowning my son, don't talk to him anymore.
It's so
But-
horrible.
Again, I just like people will do that. There have certainly been people that have done that, but
Yeah.
it just couldn't be me. I don't want people in my here it is private life.
There you go.
Well, I do want people in my private life, but
Yeah,
I
but
want that to remain private.
You want the
because
people in your private life that you've allowed to be in your private life.
It's the same way as like there have been moments in my life where yes, I could have had my phone out and been taking a video or a picture, but I'm so happy that it's just in my head.
Yeah. Yep.
Because guess what? That is a unique experience and it's mine.
Exactly.
So,
It's not Google's memory, it's your memory.
yep,
Mhm.
exactly.
It's the Black Mirror
I was just going to say.
episode, yeah.
It's one of the scariest.
Yeah.
Or not scariest, it just made me really
Which
uneasy.
The
The one where they can like scroll through their memories.
yeah, what is it?
Like their eyes
Oh,
record everything.
yeah, that's right. It was, they had cameras in their eyes,
Mhm.
and you could just watch
And then-
people's memories.
Yeah.
Well,
What
even though it's
was
not actually memories,
episode?
it's digital.
I mean, the
Yeah,
dude
because
did
we're just watching the
confirm
recording.
that his wife cheated on him.
Yes. Yeah.
Listen, fair, but also creepy. I don't know.
It is creepy, but like
But when you're in a relationship,
I don't know. Like obviously, like this guy had a suspicion that seemed irrational at first, but was confirmed to be true.
and when you're in a relationship, how much privacy should you have from your partner? You know,
Oh, boy.
should you like be able to have an affair, or should that?
I think if you're gonna have an affair and you haven't established that with your partner, then you're a complete scumbag.
Well, absolutely, I'm not saying not, but
no, I
but-
agree.
if you're in a relationship, and this is strictly thinking of the Black Mirror episode,
Yeah.
should your partner have access to those memories or record of your happenings, whatever you want to, if you don't want to call them memories, Phil, that's fine, but they essentially are memories.
Yeah.
Should your partner have access to those?
No, I don't think your partner should have direct access to it, but he does like coerce her into showing it,
Yeah.
which obviously like she was hesitant to show it anyway and like brush it off, but it was true. Like
See, I don't know.
I kind of take his side. I feel bad for him because I know it made him insane,
Yeah.
but like I understand where he's coming from because if you can't just be an upstanding person and be honest about your mistakes with your partner, then you are scum.
Well, I never had an issue with a partner knowing my phone passcode. I didn't care,
I don't care either. Yeah.
especially because there were times when I'm driving and it's, can you unlock my phone and
Yeah.
text James real quick because he just texted me and I'm driving, so text him for me. Or I don't know. I just didn't care. It's like I don't have anything to hide.
Which is
but
I don't
Google's
either.
argument.
right, that's what I was
You
just
shouldn't
thinking.
have anything to
exactly,
hide.
that's what I was just thinking. Yeah. So I don't know,
So in that sense, shouldn't your partner have access to your memories?
man. I guess so.
I guess,
I don't
but
know.
like still.
Then there is no privacy.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can be
Uh,
Because the
private
thing is
unless you consider that other person part of you,
yeah,
in which case them knowing it doesn't really
matter.
violate privacy.
Yeah.
I've definitely paid my karmic weight for the mistakes that I've made, and I can say I honestly learned from being dishonest with a partner that like it's better to just be completely open with them.
Yeah, entirely. Yeah, makes sense.
And you know, obviously if your actions affect that person in a negative way, well, you have to take responsibility for that because those are your actions.
Yes.
It's how you even obtain responsibility in the first place. So yeah, I guess that's just my little monologue there at the end, but thank you for joining us on this discussion of privacy.
Yeah, tell us what you think about privacy. Timeforanything.com, contact us page. Send us a message. Give us a new topic.
And I have nothing to hide, so if you want to know anything, just let me know. I have no privacy. It's not a thing. It doesn't exist in my world.
I would honestly take that opportunity because James offering to share is
That's big.
rare for you,
Yeah.
rare for us. We love him to death, and we love you to death. I
That's
will
true.
literally kill myself for you.
I will literally kill you
For me.
for anybody.
Oh my god.
I'll
Just
kill
kidding.
anybody if they ask me to. It's a joke. That's
It's
a
a
joke.
joke.
That
It's
should
all
probably
jokes.
get cut
We're
out.
obviously
I don't know.
kidding.
I don't want to put on.
We're not going to cut it out, but it's a joke. If you don't
that's a
understand that,
felony.
it's a joke.
I think that's a felony.
Listen, but if you say it's a joke, because it is a joke, it's fine.
But it can be taken out of context. You can snip
That's
it.
such a good
you can
point.
clip it, and you can play it in court. And I will go
It's
to jail.
true.
I
It's
will
true.
go to
It's true.
jail for you.
There you go. That shows his dedication.
We have the meta recording. So if you're trying to use our sound bites against us, try us.
Well, actually, technically,
Try.
it's our content anyway. So, well, I don't know.
Well, now we're
No, I mean
Intellectual
it
property.
is. But I guess I'm saying like
is.
if you could technically still snip it and use it as
Oh yeah.
evidence.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
For something.
100%.
Yeah. But
So try and get me arrested. I want to see what happens.
wow, you shouldn't say that.
I really
That's
don't
really,
care.
That's actually dumb.
Life is
That-
fleeting, and
They don't know me. They can't get me arrested.
if I die in jail, then that is how I die.
If he dies, he dies.
You know, as a kid, I was like, maybe
Good movie.
it'd be easier to just go to jail for the rest of my life
It would
and live there. But then I was
In
like,
some ways, it would be.
in some ways, I never understood why homeless people don't just murder somebody so that they have a place to sleep for the night.
There's an episode of I'm a Killer where a dude talks about how he killed his cellmate in jail to get put on death row so that he got preferential treatment.
Nice.
Interesting.
Working the system to their advantage.
In a really messed up way. All right, that's all the time we have for
Yeah,
you
that's-
guys. Have a great
all we got.
rest of your whatever time you're listening it to. It's time for anything.
Peace.
Play the outro.